My story is a bit complicated, but I'll do my best to explain. My name is Julie, and I'm almost 33 years old. I've been married to Adam for 5 years. In the beginning, we really enjoyed spending time together and had a lot of fun. But as time went on, our relationship started to feel different. We settled into a routine that, while comfortable, felt repetitive and boring. They say sometimes couples can get too comfortable with each other, and I think that might have happened to us. Still, it was normal for us, and I thought we were doing fine. About a year ago, Adam's work got a lot busier, and he started going on business trips. Before this, he never traveled for work, so it was new to both of us. While he provided for us financially, and I also had a job, something felt off. Even when he was home, things didn't feel the same. Our conversations felt distant, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. I told myself it was just the stress from work, but I still had my doubts. Our marriage looked like it was falling apart from the outside, but I didn't think it was that bad. To me, this was just how things were. Then one day, something strange happened. I came home from work to find Adam already there. He never usually got home before 11 p.m., but it was only 8 p.m. I was surprised to see him, and he welcomed me with a simple welcome home. That was unusual, so I asked why he was home so early. Adam explained that his father had been in an accident at work and was in the hospital. A car had hit his dad's car while running a red light. The accident left his dad paralyzed in both legs and one arm. Luckily, his life wasn't in danger, but he'd need a wheelchair from now on. This news was heartbreaking because Adam's dad loved outdoor activities like hiking and fishing. Now he would be dependent on a wheelchair and other people's help. Soon after, my mother-in-law shocked me by saying that she and Adam would be moving out, leaving me to take care of my father-in-law permanently. The real surprise came when I realized this meant she was supporting Adam's affair. They were planning to move in with his mistress, who also lived with Adam's father. They didn't seem to care about his father's needs, even though he now required constant care and attention. I was angry and hurt by their actions, but I couldn't imagine leaving my father-in-law alone to fend for himself. Then, something completely unexpected happened. My father-in-law, who I believed was bound to his wheelchair, suddenly stood up. I was shocked, having assumed he was unable to walk. This twist left me speechless and confused, wondering what other surprises might come next. In that moment, I felt overwhelmed by the betrayal, the secrets, and the unexpected actions of those around me. My life had taken a turn I never expected, and I wasn't sure what the future held. My father-in-law was always so kind and treated me like his own daughter. He was the type of person who would help anyone, and seeing him in a wheelchair after the accident broke my heart. He was hit by another car that ran a red light, and the accident left him unable to use both his legs and one arm. Knowing he would now rely on others for even the simplest tasks was painful, especially for a man who loved staying active. After the accident, Adam's mom called him to let him know what had happened. My husband, Adam, works for a different company than his father, so he couldn't leave right away to be with him. Adam felt frustrated that he couldn't be there to see his dad, and I was saddened, too. Such a kind man, now in a wheelchair, all because of an accident that wasn't his fault. But there was no time to dwell on it. When Adam looked at me, he said, "Julie, Mom has a favor to ask about Dad." I was curious and asked, "What does she need?" Adam replied, "She's asking if we can help take care of him together. Mom's getting older, and she thinks it will be hard to do it all on her own." "So, you're saying we'd need to move to your parents' house?" I asked, surprised.
"Yes," he said.
"There's enough space for us there, and it would mean a lot to both Mom and Dad. Is that okay with you?" I didn't know how to respond. I truly cared about my father-in-law, but taking on a role as a full-time caregiver was something I had never done before. The idea was overwhelming. Adam sensed my hesitation and held my hand, saying, "I know it's a big change and will be hard at first. But if we leave everything to Mom, she'll struggle, too."
"Please, Julie.
"I know we can do this if we work together." "It's going to be tough," I replied honestly. "I also have a job. How am I supposed to balance everything?" Adam looked at me and, after a pause, said, I want you to quit your job and focus on taking care of Dad with Mom. I'll handle all the financial stuff. Please, this means so much. I was taken aback. Quitting my job felt like a huge sacrifice. But Adam's desperation and my respect for his father made it hard to say no. After thinking it over, I agreed and quit my job to start taking care of my father-in-law alongside Adam's mom. As time passed, our routine settled in. Then, one evening during dinner, Adam made an unexpected announcement. He stood up and said, I've decided to take over Dad's company and become its president. This news shocked everyone, especially my father-in-law. He had never expected Adam, who had always avoided working in his father's business, to take on such a big responsibility. With tears in his eyes, my father-in-law looked at Adam and said, Thank you, Adam. I was worried about the future of the company, but now I feel relieved. Adam looked at his father with determination and said, I want to take care of it for you. In that moment, I saw how deeply Adam cared for his family and how much his father's well-being meant to him. Our lives had changed so much, and we all faced new challenges. But together, we were finding a way to make it work, no matter how tough things became. Yes, I'll do my best as a son, Adam told his father, reassuring him. His father, now chairman of the company, said, Please make sure it's a good place to work for everyone. Adam promised he would. Soon, Adam officially took over as president of his father's company, while his father-in-law, though technically retired, kept the chairman role. He left the day-to-day running of the company to Adam, but there was still plenty of work to be done. At first, I was proud of Adam. He was handling big responsibilities, and I knew this job was a big step for him. But within just 3 months, Adam started coming home very late, almost every night. I thought it was because he was still getting used to his role, but 3 months of constant late nights seemed a bit strange. Then, something else started bothering me. One night, I stayed up late, unable to sleep. When Adam finally came in, I noticed he had a strong smell of soap. That was unusual. I asked him about it, curious, but instead of explaining, he became defensive. He quickly said he was just working hard because taking over a business wasn't easy. Then he brushed me off, heading to bed without another word. I tried to ignore my feelings, but his reaction just made me more uneasy. Every time I tried to ask more, he would get irritated and snap at me. One evening, when I was exhausted after a long day, I tried to talk to him calmly. I didn't want to accuse him of anything. I was just curious about what was going on. But Adam seemed to take it the wrong way, accusing me of not appreciating his hard work. I'm doing this for us, so we can have a better life, he said angrily. I tried to apologize, but he ignored me, went upstairs, and made noise as he moved around the room, clearly annoyed. He turned away and began scrolling on his phone, refusing to listen. The next day, I got an unexpected visit from my mother-in-law. She was angry and said Adam had told her about our argument. She accused me of doubting Adam just because he was working hard for me. I tried to explain that I was only curious, not accusing him of anything, but she wasn't interested in hearing it. She scolded me, saying I shouldn't make Adam uncomfortable, and left, dumping all the housework on me. It felt so unfair. My mother-in-law had always acted like we shared the chores, but in reality, I did everything, including caring for my father-in-law during the day. She would find reasons to go out and only come back in the evening. My father-in-law, who spent most of his time in his room, didn't realize how often she was gone. She even warned me not to mention anything odd about her absence to him or Adam. Her attitude only added more tension to our home. Despite feeling frustrated, I kept quiet and carried on with the housework and caregiving. The days felt heavy, and it seemed like no one really appreciated what I was doing. I knew my mother-in-law didn't think much of me, but I had no choice but to continue, hoping things might eventually change. The main reason I was able to endure such a difficult life was because of my father-in-law. Every time I helped him, he would genuinely apologize. He would say, "Julie, I'm so sorry. You must hate taking care of an old man like me." I would always reply, "Don't worry about it. I see you as my real father. I'm happy to help." Hearing this, he would smile and say, "I'm so glad Adam married someone as kind as you, Julie. Despite all the trouble I've caused with my care, you're always so gentle and kind to me." "I'm lucky," I would respond. "I'm the lucky one to have such a caring father-in-law." His kindness and gratitude made it easier for me to keep going, even though my husband and mother-in-law's behavior made me feel uncomfortable and alone. My daily routine included helping my father-in-law settle in for the night and turning off the lights before heading to bed. One evening, after finishing up with my father-in-law, I returned to the living room and was surprised to find my husband, Adam, there with his mother. It was unusual for both of them to be around, and something felt off. My suspicions were confirmed when my mother-in-law dropped an unexpected bombshell. "Good timing, Julie," she said. "We need to talk. From now on, you'll be responsible for taking care of Scott for the rest of his life." I felt confused. "What do you mean?" I asked, trying to understand. But before I could fully grasp what was happening, Adam handed me divorce papers. "I have someone else," he said coldly. "We're leaving to live with her. You can handle the divorce papers on your own." I was stunned and devastated. As they packed their bags and ignored my tears, I sat alone in the silent living room, heartbroken. Tears streamed down my cheeks, and I felt completely lost. Suddenly, my father-in-law appeared in his wheelchair. "Julie, what's wrong?" "I heard some noise and came to check on you," he said, concerned. I struggled to find the words, my heart heavy with pain and confusion. After a moment, I shared everything that had happened. His expression grew serious, and I could see anger in his eyes. To my surprise, he then stood up, his voice suddenly strong and confident. "Let's fight back," he said firmly. I stared in shock, glancing at his legs. He apologized for keeping it a secret and revealed that he could actually walk. Then, from a drawer, he took out a large envelope and showed me its contents, evidence of Adam's infidelity and even my mother-in-law's. Stunned, I listened as he explained. Since Adam became president, he'd been leaving work right on time, but coming home very late. This made my father-in-law suspicious, so he hired a private investigator to look into it. The investigator uncovered Adam's affair, and further investigation revealed that my mother-in-law had been unfaithful as well, explaining her frequent absences during the day. In fact, she seemed fully aware of Adam's affair and even supported it. There were photos of them meeting together with Adam's mistress. My father-in-law looked at me with determination and said, "It's not right to hide this any longer. You deserve the truth, Julie. Now, it's time to confront them." In that moment, I felt a new strength rise in me, knowing I wasn't alone. My father-in-law's courage and willingness to stand by me changed everything. Together, we would face this betrayal, and I finally felt ready to take control of my life again. I looked at my father-in-law, who had been so supportive, and said, "I can't keep living like this. I want to fight back." He nodded, reassuring me, "Leave it to me." He immediately picked up the phone and made a call to someone at his company. Before long, Adam was removed from his position as president. My father-in-law then encouraged me to file for divorce and to ask for a fair division of our property. Following his advice, I quickly reached out to a lawyer to get everything started. About a week later, Adam came to my in-laws' house, furious. He confronted me and my father-in-law, demanding to know why he had lost his position as president just because of his affair. My father-in-law didn't hold back. He told Adam it was his own fault for neglecting his duties, causing so much pain to me and bringing shame to the family. He didn't mince words, making it clear that Adam was no longer welcome in their home and should never set foot there again. Desperate, Adam turned to me, begging for a second chance. He wanted me to convince his father to forgive him and to stop the divorce. He promised he would end the affair and even said he'd give up on dividing the property if I just took him back. His words felt empty and selfish. Even after everything he'd done, he was only thinking about himself and what he had lost. I couldn't believe his nerve. "You want me to drop the divorce?" I asked, stunned. "Are you serious? I'm not going back to someone who betrayed me like you did. I'm done with you." Adam seemed shocked by my response, but I continued. Of course, I want this divorce. Why should I stay married to someone who thinks only of himself? Losing your job and this divorce, they're all consequences of your own choices. Adam, clearly in a panic, tried to change his story, saying the divorce papers were just a scare tactic and that he hadn't meant for things to go this far. I looked him straight in the eye and said, "I'm glad to be free from you. You, your mother, and your mistress can stay together. I'm done being part of this mess." Frustrated and out of options, Adam tried one last time to argue, but I wouldn't listen. I had finally found my voice, and I wasn't going to let him manipulate me again. His selfishness and lies no longer had power over me. That day marked the beginning of a new chapter in my life. With my father-in-law's support, I felt stronger than ever. I was no longer weighed down by Adam's betrayal and deceit. I was ready to move on, to rebuild, and to finally live without the shadow of his lies hanging over me. I chased Adam out of the house, slamming the door behind him. I could hear him crying and begging for forgiveness, but neither my father-in-law nor I responded. We were done with his lies and betrayals. After losing his job as president, Adam's life quickly unraveled. His mistress, who had only been interested in his money and status, kicked him and his mother out of her house once she found out he no longer held any power or wealth. With nowhere else to go, Adam and his mother ended up in a cheap motel, struggling to get by. Losing their jobs had drained their savings, and they quickly found themselves in debt. They could barely afford food or rent, and before long, they were forced to take whatever day labor jobs they could find just to survive. Each day became a struggle as they went from job to job, trying to earn enough to get by. Life was very different for them now, and they realized just how much they had lost. Meanwhile, I continued to live in my father-in-law's house, caring for him as I always had. After the divorce, he kindly told me, "You're welcome to stay here as long as you want." His words meant the world to me. Grateful for his kindness and support, I decided to make his home my own. He had always treated me with respect and care, and I wanted to be there for him. Recently, my father-in-law started attending a senior daycare center during the day. This gave him a chance to socialize with others and participate in activities he enjoyed, and it allowed me to go back to work. I was happy to have this balance in my life, as I could both care for him and support myself. It felt good to have some independence again, and knowing that he was well taken care of during the day brought me peace of mind. Although I know there may be challenges ahead, I feel ready to face them. My life has changed a lot, but I've found strength I didn't know I had. My father-in-law's kindness has shown me that family doesn't have to be connected by blood. It's about people who genuinely care for each other. He stood by me when I needed support the most, and I'll continue to be there for him, no matter what. Looking back, I'm grateful for the lessons this experience has taught me. I've learned to value the people who truly care about me and to stand up for myself when I need to. My future feels bright, and though I don't know exactly what lies ahead, I know I'm ready for it. My father-in-law and I have built a life together based on respect and support, and that's something I wouldn't trade for anything. We may have faced hardships, but we've come out stronger, and now I finally feel at peace.